Welcome, all phone enthusiasts, to a night that marks history that will go down forever in the YouTube playbooks. Tonight, Best Phone Plans proudly simulcasts on both the Best Phone Plans channel and the SMT Nation Live. I'm so glad to see all of you who have shown up early. Jason, Max Tech, David, great to see your friendly faces, and hopefully more make their way in soon. We got an awesome show picked out tonight as a surprise Monday live stream because we all know Monday stinks, so we had to get some good news in the mix. We're going to be talking about how T-Mobile won big, Apple Plus on us, and Storytime because it's a late night show with Dennis. But before we get into all that, it wouldn't be a Best Phone Plans podcast if I didn't ask how you were doing today, Sneed.
Man, I'm awesome, Dennis. Thanks, man. And this was a great idea. I think you're right. Of epic proportions. History is being made tonight. Best Phone Plans, SMT podcast, simultaneous. It's special, man. Good idea. Excellent brainstorming session that Dennis had. And it's good to be here, man. Thanks for sending this out and setting this up.
Man, thank you for being down. And thank God that technology made it easy enough for me to be able to do it.
Yeah,
but
man. Yeah.
But with that being said, where do you want to start off? Do we want to do story time? Should we talk about the big T-Mobile news? Where do you want to go? I'll let you pick, man.
I don't really have a preference, man. You want to go with like the news of the day, I suppose. We'll open with that.
Yeah, man. So you're the
Yeah.
news legend himself. So in SMT fashion, go ahead and set the people up here. And if you have a little screen share that you want to do, you can of course do that, and I'll get you on screen.
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up the story here. It's a T-Mobile story. So the news, it's would you say that it's kind of like plan based, I suppose, right? Like you got a certain plan, you get a certain feature. So I guess it's kind of plan based. Let's go ahead and do this. Actually, I'll do the screen share thing, and then we can discuss it, Dennis. When I first saw the news, it was actually on a Mike Sievert tweet. It was like you know, president, CEO of the company, and he did like a 20 or 30 cent commercial to kind of advertise it. And actually, let me do this. Let me go ahead and put that in the live stream so people can check it out too as well, and they can get the link. And then I'll go ahead and see if I can set up the screen share. And I think I've done this before. Come on, let's do this.
What I'll do is I'll paste it in here so it goes across both channels for everyone.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. And then we got the screen share happening.
And here we are. Also, as a quick little side thing before we get into this, Giuseppe, thank you for starting the night off strong with a $2 super chat. Fun fact for everyone, by the way, super chats, at least on Best Phone Plans, do have some little special things going. I couldn't figure it out for your channel, Sneed. I think I need access to set up StreamYards or something on your channel, but we'll figure that out another time. But if anybody does the super chat on Best Phone Plans, you'll see a little cool little something. So I'm hoping we'll get someone lucky enough to give it a try. But that being said, go ahead, Sneed. Go ahead into the article here.
All right, man. So the T-Mobile Magenta Max plan just got that much sweeter. You're getting free of charge, no additional fee. You're not paying anything extra for this. You're going to get Apple TV Plus on T-Mobile. They're going to pay for it. The value, I would say, estimated at about $5, I believe, for the access. You don't have to do anything as a T-Mobile customer, right? This literally just makes the T-Mobile value play even better, right? So AT&T pulls the plug on HBO Max, right? And T-Mobile goes ahead and adds to the Magenta Max plan an additional entertainment perk, so more media content. So if you like your Netflix on us, if you like all the features that you already have, it's just another cherry on the top. You may have already had one or two cherries on the top of the Magenta Max. Maybe you like all that tons of hotspot. Maybe you like the priority data. Maybe you like the Netflix on us. All those things are great and you love your plan. You didn't have to do anything. You're essentially just going to get this, on top of the sale price. Nothing that you have to do in order to take action to take advantage of it. Now, the way I was looking at this, it's not going to change the Magenta customer life. It's not a part of that. It's not a part of Magenta Essentials. It's not a part of T-Mobile One or Simple Choice. It is completely 100% an upsell, right? They're trying to make the value play on the Magenta Max that much more substantial than all their other plans to get people to spend more for a more premium plan. In and of itself, it may price some people out. There are some people who might be on a tight budget, you know what I'm saying, Dennis, and they can't do Magenta Max, right? And in that instance, this kind of sucks, but this is a premium plan that is going to offer a lot of perks that if it fits your budget, probably now, if it didn't before, it now becomes a candidate as the best value plan in the biz. You know, it's an even better value than it was before this, which me and you argued, right? Put it in the position to be the best value in the market. We made the argument that the AT&T Elite, when it had HBO Max, was the best plan. Right now, this one, I think, for a lot of people, it kind of takes it over the top, man. What say you?
Well, first, I want to say that I'm super happy that T-Mobile's doing this. They did the whole 1 year free thing, which really irks me because then you still have to get paid, like charged for it afterwards. So the fact that it's included is a big win for customers. It's a nice, like you said, cherry on top, and it's very awesome and appreciated. As far as value, I agree wholeheartedly that, but even before this, Magenta Max is the best value. No, value is the wrong word. It's the best premium unlimited plan on the postpay market today compared to what's available elsewhere. And this just helps to solidify that point even further. I mean, Netflix still has a lot of good originals. Apple TV doesn't have a lot of stuff, but man, some of those shows are really good. You mentioned Ted. I think you mentioned Ted Lasso earlier in this stream. I love that show. Both seasons were fantastic. So great to have that there. And yeah, it's just a cool little thing, and I think a lot of people are gonna like it, and I think this is gonna help out Apple a lot too, because I know they were struggling a little bit there in the streaming
To get
sphere.
some buzz, yeah.
Well, I mean Disney Plus, man. I mean Disney Plus wouldn't be where it's at right now if it wasn't for Verizon's integration. So I think Apple TV with
Big
T-Mobile
true,
will do the same.
true, yeah.
But yeah, I'm super stoked. I think it's perfectly timed too because I think Apple TV was talking about potentially raising costs anyway on it. So it's cool that T-Mobile's including it. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, it's major. There's the only thing I thought about is, you know, does the regular Magenta customer, does the Essentials customer, does this entice them to bump up? You know, I think there'll be some conversions for customers coming from Verizon, but because they're already probably spending that much, right? They're already spending 85 a line, right? Because Magenta Max comes in at 85 with taxes and fees included. So if you're coming from a entry level Verizon plan, you know, like a Playmore or something like that, this is going to get you a higher access plan with a little bit more in terms of content. You're getting Netflix, you're getting this. If you're on a multi-line account, you get the Netflix, right? And all this, you know, but does T-Mobile execute the upsell? Does the T-Mobile Magenta customer bump up to the max?
Well, let me put it to you. Let me put it to you in a way that you'll understand. But before I do that, Brad, 100 strong, coming in with a $5 super chat on your channel, Sneed. Thank you for supporting the SMT
Thanks,
himself.
Brad. Appreciate you, man. Hope you're doing well.
But let me tell you to you in a way that you and the audience will understand. Does me bundling in 30 of your local TV channels on your home internet entice you to get gig internet over, say, 300 meg?
I mean, it's unassociated, isn't it?
That's my point. I'm saying that the streaming services are unassociated with whether or not you're going to pick that plan to begin with. You're going to pick the higher tier plan based off of cost and the need for the actual network features. You don't go to T-Mobile to buy your streaming. Like, you're not going to T-Mobile because you want streaming service. You're going to T-Mobile because they have the cheaper plans and better pricing and better coverage. It's just cherries and sweetener on top, and it's something that helps keep customers maybe a little bit more sticky. In the very least, possibly a portion of customers a little bit more sticky because now they're tying in other ancillary products into their T-Mobile bill.
Do you think the Magenta Max customer wasn't sticky though? Do you think they're addressing an issue they had? Like, where was the Magenta Max customer at risk for leaving?
I 100% believe so, because if someone's a Magenta Max customer, It means that they're a more premium customer in general, I would say, arguably. And the Magenta Max, the people that are probably coming to Magenta Max are probably going to be the port-ins that were coming from Verizon and AT&T, respectively. They might come to T-Mobile, get on Magenta Max, and then realize the network is subpar despite having this incredible plan, right? And T-Mobile didn't really have any other products to keep them really locked in, right? Like, yeah, they have the T-Mobile home internet, but let's just be realistic. Premium customers aren't going to be tied down by a T-Mobile home internet product, more likely than not, right? Like, that's not going to keep them there, right? Especially because, too, even without Magenta Max, it's only like $50 to keep it by itself, right? Like, that's not keeping them sticky. And they just don't have the penetration for it yet. So I think that this is just, like I said, a play to get more things entangled in that T-Mobile bill, just like how cables had great success and satellite companies have a great success, like tying in so many different products. I mean, look at AT&T, right? AT&T is the king of this in the telecom space. They get you with the dish, they get you with the cell phone service, they get you with the streaming products that you can get on there, and a whole bunch of other crazy stuff, right? And that keeps, and every single little thing that they add onto your bill makes you less likely to churn. It's just statistics. T-Mobile didn't have that leverage, but this gives them one more chip to play now.
Big shout out to a couple of super chats that just came in. We got the one from Brad, and there was also one from Giuseppe Jimmy. Let's go ahead and throw in Zero Cool for his super chat. He got the lemon character, all giggly and schniggly. Appreciate you, bro. Oh, this one just came in. Pete Fox, the homie with the super chat, simulcast, hashtag better together. Absolutely phenomenal. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Zero Cool. And Giuseppe Jimmy. You guys are great. Thanks for all the support.
Yeah, thank you guys. And like I said, if someone's feeling courageous enough, Best Phone Plans, there's a little surprise if someone does it on there. I highly recommend trying it on there to see what happens.
I think somebody should do it. Do it on the It's gonna be cool.
You'll see it too, Sneed, I hope. But anywho, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Look
I mean,
at this comment. Look at this one. Look at the most recent comment from Omi El Nino. He's got 4 lines on T-Mobile for $26.
Yeah, I wonder what. It's probably not Magenta Max though, right? It's probably something else, right?
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
why would he?
Got to be
why
some
would
kind
he?
of legacy.
Like, why would he upsell? Like, let's just say the upsell to Magenta Max ends up adding, let's just say $40, $40 to his cost, right? Is getting Netflix and Apple TV worth an extra $40 a month?
Of course not. Yeah.
But going back to your question with the Magenta Max customer, do you think they're sticky, Sneed? Because I don't.
I think they're pretty sticky. I mean, they kind of chose to go to the premium plan. I mean, I haven't known the Magenta Max to have churn. I mean, look at the T-Mobile churn in general. It's been trending down, which is great. Customers are hanging around. I mean, you've been a customer for like 10 years.
2013. So yeah.
13 years, right? So,
I said 2013, so nine years.
Oh, this is 9 years? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, they're with Sprint gone, the other value player is gone. In order to take advantage of a discount from AT&T to make it, compete with T-Mobile. So, I don't know, man. The way I looked at it is the structure of this.
It happened.
Seemed.
Oh, sorry. I got excited. Do you see it on the screen, Sneed?
I see. Yeah, I see. A super chat. Yes.
No. Did you actually see the little? You didn't hear the sound effect where it went like a ring and it showed the actual donation's name in the upper right hand corner?
Oh, somebody do another donation on the Best Phone Plans. I gotta see this.
Yeah, they did it. They did it. And if if I set it up correctly, different donos should have different effects. If I did it correctly, I'm not sure because we both tried simulcasting and this. Oh my God, we're getting them in big now. Pete Fox coming in with a keep it up, and Santiago also coming in clutch saying he's upgrading to Magenta Max is tempting at this point. Do you see it though? Pete Fox donating 5 through super chat.
I can't see it on the.
If you played on the YouTube video on my channel, or actually, if you played on, it should show on this. Yeah, it shows on your channel too. If you just play the actual live stream on YouTube, it shows. I need to actually bring down the. Oh no, it's showing the dinosaur.
Does the little bell thing. You got it. Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. And it shows a little dinosaur emote, which I need to buy. I need to pay someone on Fire to make us custom emotes, but It's supposed to do different things at different tiers. I don't think I set it up correctly for the simulcast. I'll have to play around with it more. Guys, for anyone that doesn't know, we've been playing around, or I've been playing around with a new streaming platform called Melon, and it has so many different features, like the simulcast that's happening. So I've been testing out stuff. But thank you guys for the incredible. Oh my god! And David coming in with another one. He's
MS said great stream. Looking forward to T-Mobile and Starlink Band 2. David with another one, and then Giuseppe Jimmy. One thing to note: a lot of finance and tech companies pay employees cell phone plans. My last 3 employers all paid my bill. That's a pretty phenomenal feature, wouldn't you say, Dennis?
I would definitely say so.
And Santiago, he said upgrading to Magenta Max is tempting at this point. I agree, man. I agree. I mean, if you're on an AT&T Elite, you're probably keeping it, but the premium, you might be looking at Magenta Max like the next
Wait,
move.
I got
or,
a better
Verizon.
question, Sneed. I got a better question,
man.
Sneed. Is the new Magenta Max worth upgrading from the classic One Plus plan?
T-Mobile One Plus International.
No. T-Mobile just One Plus, where they were doing the promo where you got the One Plus included at the $70 add-on. When they first introduced One Plus, they had a promo free One Plus add-on for the price of just regular one. It was $70.
Oh, so you're saying should that person switch?
Yeah, should that person switch? If they're paying 70, should they switch to paying 85?
I don't know, man. I truly believe that every successor to the old plan is one thing worse on the new plans. I feel like the carriers do something, whether it's on the back end or systems, they do something to make it less GOAT.
Well, let's think about it. Well, let's think about it for a second, because I had One Plus, right? Let's think about it for a second. As far as on-device data goes, One Plus had 50 gigs priority, then D-Prio, Magenta Max, unlimited priority. Hotspot One Plus either had 7 or 14 gigs, depending on when you got on it, versus 40 gigs of hotspot. One Plus doesn't get, I don't believe it gets, there's something they recently just did with like they did something recently here when they were talking about the travel perk, but it doesn't get it while the Magenta Max does. One Plus doesn't get all the great promos if you like device financing. Magenta Max does. Magenta Max gets Netflix for single line users. One Plus did not. You had to have 2 or more lines to get the Netflix perk.
Right. Yeah.
Goodness gracious me. I'm having a bit of a brain.
So let me get this straight. You're basically saying that if you are on these newer Magenta Max type plans, if you capitalize on all the things that they include, then by all means, the switch is 100% a slam dunk. Absolutely.
I'm saying you just need to capitalize on one of the things. Like if you capitalize on just the Netflix,
then it's worth it, right? Yeah.
Giuseppe, One Plus does get 4K uncapped streaming. They had the HD add-on. It's truly uncapped. So you're good on the 4K side of things. You don't have to worry about that. But all right, I think we beat this topic like a dead horse. Overall, I think we both agree. Good job, T-Mobile.
Yeah, it's a great job, man. They just made that plan phenomenal.
All right. On the more T-Mobile news, because we know you guys love that. Let's talk about how T-Mobile just won big. They hit the home run of home runs in the Spectrum auction, based off of information that's been leaked so far. Sneed, do you want to enlighten the audience?
Yeah, so the Spectrum auction 108. This is essentially a Spectrum auction that, I mean, I call it the T-Mobile Spectrum auction. It's for the same spectrum that's utilized in the N41 channel for T-Mobile. It's a big piece of what they do with their 5G network, specifically 5G UC. There are some places in the country where T-Mobile lacks the bandwidth, the spectrum depth, to truly create an ultra capacity experience. In order to do that, they had to get the white space licenses in these places, and it allows them to really create like a contiguous capacitive network experience for the customers. Because it kind of sucks when you're like in a county where T-Mobile has like 140 megahertz of N41, and then you go to a neighboring county and they have 40 megahertz of N41. So you're going to go from 1.5 gigabits per second down to like 300 megabits per second. And it's all because they simply don't have the licenses to do it. And they haven't really started deploying, C-band gear. And they haven't cleared the C block of C-band. And DoD, they haven't put up any gear. And, we don't know if they're going to be putting up, one set of antennas and radios for the whole shebang for N77. And they might not do that till next year. So there's no relief for the people that are in those places or frequent those places where they don't have deep N41. Well, now they can do it, right? They have essentially added 17, 47. I mean, there's all types of different bandwidth additions. And they probably secured more than 95% of the licenses that were at the auction, which puts them in a good position, on a national scale to take care of those troubled spots. And, they got off cheap, Dennis. They got off really cheap. In many instances in the auction, the supply and demand were equal, which means they were essentially bidding against themselves. So they couldn't lose. The reserve or the minimum price was barely met, which means there was barely any demand, with the exception, I would say, of probably a few fixed wireless access regional carriers. T-Mobile's probably walking away with most of it. When I mean most, I mean like more than 95%. So when we find out everything here in a couple of weeks, it'll all come to light. We'll know exactly the details, but I have very strong feelings in this. They got off cheap. That's why they probably purchased the 600 megahertz from Columbia Capital and such a couple of weeks ago. Now it's kind of starting to make sense. They saw that demand wasn't there. We have money. Let's buy the rest of the 600 megahertz, put owner's economics on our side, stop leasing from these people. We were going to spend this money on the N41 anyways. Let's just put it back into the network. Let's spend it on the 600 and secure our future, because that was the thing for the longest time, their network, the low band, the coverage. Now they're creating capacity. They want to do fixed wireless access big. Their network, it's got to be a serious player. And they're going to be putting more network traffic on fixed wireless access than even Verizon. So if you think Verizon's going to be pushing their network, T-Mobile's probably going to push theirs even harder. And they don't have any fiber across the country, with the exception of the pilot program in Manhattan, where they can lease fiber from any company on the cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the truth of the whole thing, man. So this is huge for them. They got off cheap. I would take that money. I would reinvest in the network and continue to shoot for dominance, man.
Yeah, so first off, I agree with you. They came out like bandits. It's a crime. Also, this is huge for T-Mobile. I think we agree that this is honestly the best outcome that T-Mobile actually got the spectrum, since they've shown a willingness to actually deploy it. That being said, I want to be very clear about one thing. At this point, as soon as T-Mobile gets full access to those licenses, T-Mobile no longer has an excuse to not deploy an excellent network. As you would put it, Sneed, they got all the ammunition in the world. They need to start making the guns, and the guns are the macro cell sites and the small cells. They have everything they need. They got a great low band layer. They got plenty of mid band capacity, and they got some pretty healthy millimeter wave holdings. T-Mobile is set up for success should they decide to execute on this opportunity they've been given. Also, MS coming in with a super chat. He asked you, Sneed, any news on Auction 108's 145 licenses that didn't sell?
Wow, man. I didn't know that there were 145 that were not a go. I figured there was like 8,000 or so licenses. I thought they mostly all sold. I don't know. That's kind of shocking. Maybe me and Dennis can put our money together and buy some of those licenses. What do you think, Dennis?
I think I will pass. I have no desire to own that spectrum. If I was going to own Spectrum, the Spectrum that I would want to purchase would have been some like C-band or something, right? Because that is some like cream of the crop, very clean, contiguous spectrum that I know like Verizon would be begging me for in the semi near future.
Yeah. All the carriers would want it. Right? They all got C-band.
But all right. I guess this transitions really nicely into story time, Sneed, because you were talking about how T-Mobile is going to be pushing fixed wireless traffic harder than anyone else. Do you want to hear a fun story about some testing I did today?
Story time with Uncle Dennis.
Dude, we need to get like a custom like storybook animation or something that comes up like story time.
Yeah, but a little bit of music.
Okay. So guys, today on this beautiful Monday, I went out to do some network testing for all the carriers, but with a specific focus on Verizon, because I've been testing out some different MVNOs access, including Xfinity mobiles. I've been looking at activating a visible line and a few other things, and I've been testing it out. So I've been putting a specific focus on Verizon for a future show. That being said, I went over to the Robinson Mall where me and Sneed had met up IRL for the first time in Pittsburgh, because it's an area that was first to see the CPAN upgrades from Verizon. It's well deployed. It's up on top of that little bank. There's AT&T's 5G Plus there now, and T-Mobile has some pretty cool ultra capacity. So it's a really good spot for testing. And I was very disappointed, Sneed. Do you want to guess who disappointed me first?
Verizon disappointed you.
Correct. Do you think anyone else disappointed me while I was there?
I think T-Mobile disappointed you.
Half correct. Anyone else?
Dish disappointed you?
I don't have access to the Dish testing yet.
Oh, no way. AT&T disappointed. No way.
Yes. All carriers disappointed me to some degree. And it feels sanctimonious to be saying this by a holier than thou AT&T in the Pittsburgh market. Gods, please forgive me. But, oh my God, Franco Barrera coming in with the $5 super dono. Hashtag Storytime with Uncle Dennis. Let's make it a hashtag. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Franco.
But yeah, so AT&T disappointed me. We'll start off with them because I feel like this is very unheard of coming from me. But AT&T disappointed me, ironically enough, because of 5G Plus. The 5G Plus performance was horrible. I'm talking like 60 to 70 megabits per second on 5G Plus, Sneed.
What was the average speed test?
Like 60 to 70 on 5G Plus
for AT&T. Sheesh, man. Leave it on LTE.
Yep. Do you want to know what I got on LTE?
300.
250. 250 by 60.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So 5G Plus was a no-go for AT&T. They need to optimize that. T-Mobile half disappointed me. So I was excited because T-Mobile upped the spectrum there to 140 megahertz, which is great. And on one side of the mall, I was able to get incredible speeds, like 770 megabits per second down, 100 up, which is awesome. But on the sector that was facing the mall, the one that faces the Macy's and JCPenney's section of that mall, was only getting 50 megs need.
Yeah, man.
For 140 megahertz of spectrum, I would at least expect at least a minimum of 100. And I know why it was getting that slow speed. It's because T-Mobile is the only one that doesn't have a DAS system in that mall. And I went during prime time. Parking lots were filled. So obviously it was congestion. T-Mobile needs to add a DAS in the mall like AT&T and Verizon did. Now it is time for Verizon. Verizon. Verizon was also seeing some real struggles with the C-band. So to be clear here, at that mall, this is also the same location where I did my nighttime testing of like trying to get past the hotspot throttle. David Empire, thank you for the super chat as well. He said he got 0.1 megabits per second with 4 bars of 5G UC. LT no good. Yeah, man, that sounds rough. But Verizon was also struggling here. Okay, so this is actually an area where Verizon also performed really well. I was actually literally sitting in the parking lot of that first KeyBank line of sight on the cell. and Verizon was only able to get 100 meg. During non-peak hours at that cell site, Verizon is typically able to get between 5 to 600 when it's not congested. It was going down to like 100. And the reason why that's disappointing for Verizon is because, Sneeding, you remember when you were there, Verizon has a DAS inside the mall, so that takes care of all the people that are inside the mall. And they have 3 different, a combination of rooftop sites and macros covering all around the mall. So from like a people per cell site perspective, Verizon honestly probably has the most density there than AT&T next. I think you would.
Yeah, you got a lot of splitting going on there, which keeps your user distribution, pretty divvied up.
Which is why I was disappointed to only be getting 100 megs when they got the 60 megahertz of C-band on that site. They got the band 2, the band 66, the band 13, the N5, the CBRS. They got all that spectrum. And it's the same issue I had with T-Mobile just earlier. They have all that spectrum and they could only barely get 100 meg. Not acceptable. Not acceptable from Verizon.
Do you think it's like a one-off, like a bad day, or is it characteristically like that frequently?
It shouldn't be, man. I mean,
like, that's what I'm saying is if you went tomorrow, you think you'd see the same thing? Or if because something we've been seeing is that sites can be problematic and then you come back and they're better and they get optimized and tuned. I mean, your experience, it was bad. But you'd hope that it was a one-off as opposed to something we continue to see consistently.
Well, I just want to add one caveat before everyone in the comments starts flaming me. All of the speeds I just mentioned are actually still usable, just to be clear here. My problem is that it's not good considering the amount of spectrum on air, just so we're clear here before people start flaming me in the comments.
It's a major letdown. No, you're right, Dennis. When you got that kind of bandwidth, dude, you have expectations. I totally get it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clear that up because I already can see it right now. Dennis doesn't know what he's talking about, or Dennis is a hypocrite saying like 25 is good enough for most things. Like, I could already see it. But it's hard to say. Like, for AT&T, the 5G Plus wasn't as shocking to me because I told you before that 5G Plus was kind of a little disappointing over here in the city. It was just more so disappointing because I've never seen it that low. Typically, 5G Plus performed like DSS, which is why I was really disappointed from it. When it comes like inside the city. And plus, AT&T still has some fine tuning to do with their 5G Plus. T-Mobile wasn't surprising because T-Mobile kind of just sucks in Pittsburgh. I was just disappointed because that's one of the spots where I know that they're really good, and we see based on going on the other side of the cell that it is really good. And then Verizon was the biggest letdown because they were really good there. You saw it yourself. We saw it ourselves. I mean, I think we were getting almost symmetrical upload and download inside the mall because of how good that DAS setup was. So, anyway, answering your question, if I went back on another day, do I think it will be better? Probably. I'll probably go, honestly, if I went there right now with no people there, I bet you I'd get the full speeds.
So you're thinking it was a congestion issue?
100%.
Wow.
Congestion and maybe a powering and tilting issue. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Verizon was causing some of their own interference because they had the site, because they have the roof stuff, they have the roof mounted equipment for their 5G on that bank. And then you didn't see it when you were here, but there's a water tower counter adjacent of it that has LTE gear still up on and hasn't been modernized yet with 5G gear. It just has like the DSS stuff. So it's possible maybe they were having some interference, maybe. I don't know what the issue would be. Maybe it was still down-powered, maybe. I'm not sure. Side note, Frank Cabrera coming in with a $10 super dono saying Verizon is congested. I always get between 50 and 70 down and 20 up on his US mobile line. Verizon needs more small cells deployed. AT&T has no 5G Plus here, and 5G UC is everywhere. Well, that's the thing, though, right? Like, Verizon on paper has everything they should need at this mall. Like Sneed, you saw it. It's super dense. They have splits up the wazoo. I mean, the only thing they're missing is millimeter wave, basically, right? Like, do you think that's what they need there? Because I don't. Like, how many people do you think that mall can hold?
They got a lot of layers to this networking thing. They got band 48 as a possibility. That can be used on LTE right now and future upgradable for 5G and NR. You have the N77, right? That's the future of their capacity networking. The millimeter wave piece. I mean, I think every mall should have 2-element millimeter wave. Each major segment of the parking lot should have outdoor millimeter wave. I also think it needs to be a part of their DAS system. They need to get N260 going. I really, truly believe that. Wherever you can get people on it, you should. Um, I and then along with, the cell splits and getting small cells up and these things, I think they have everything they need. The only thing I will say is that maybe it's just time. These assets are new. They're just starting to build out. The C-band went live in January. Maybe it's just we reevaluate them at the end of the year, or the beginning of next year, and we say, okay, it's been one full year with C-band. Where do we stand? Because the C-band channels are about to deepen to 100 megahertz. And next year they're going to deepen again, 140, 160, 200. And we're going to start seeing standalone networking where we get carrier aggregation of 2 channels of N77. Plus, we'll be seeing N77 and CBRS and N77 and millimeter wave. Like, these combinations, Dennis, are really going to propel some serious capacity. So yeah, we can evaluate them objectively and fairly today and say it's not good enough yet. It isn't. These types of situations need to be addressed. I mean, that's part of network excellence, right? So we can objectively say it's not good enough right now and they need to do better.
Here's a question for you, Sneed. Do you think this might be a Samsung equipment market issue?
Yeah, I think there's some stuff going on there. It's not perfect. It definitely is not perfect. I have seen some incredible performance from Samsung gear, and I've seen some pretty shoddy stuff too, man. So I've seen both. It's definitely been a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah. It just doesn't make logical sense. My only thought process is that it has to be something. Like, it has to be it just doesn't make sense. But that was my story. That was my very non-scientifically studied, repeatable story of mine on a random mall day on a Monday. But I'll probably go back. I mean, it's only like a 30 minute drive or so to get there, so but I'll probably go back. And I'll probably, what I'll do too, Sneed? I'll go down to the other mall, the one that has the Apple store. I am blanking on the name, Bethel Park, because that's actually a bigger mall than the Robinson Mall. So that will be interesting to test. And T-Mobile, I think Bethel Park's mall is where T-Mobile actually shines the best. That's where I've gotten almost a gig on T-Mobile. They upped the backhaul down there. I've gotten almost a gig, like 880 meg.
When we evaluate these carriers and their networks, you got to consider a lot of factors. Like, there's network build out, the number of cells, small cells, upgraded macros, the amount of spectrum, the backhaul, all that's important. But you also have to think about market share, man. Some of these markets, it's just not even, like take for example, Pittsburgh, historically Verizon dominant. Cleveland, historically Verizon dominant. There needs to be a little bit more parity with respect to distribution of the market share. T-Mobile could use a little more. AT&T could use a little bit more. Both of them have done a nice job to upgrade and build out their networks, and they deserve people's money. They have built out these networks. They've upgraded. So, like, you're sitting there on an N77 site for Verizon, and you're getting 100 megabits or 50 megabits because of congestion. But, like, meanwhile, the T-Mobile network's getting 600, 700, 800 down, and hardly anybody's using it because they've got 19% market share. And the same thing with the AT&T network. They've got an incredible uniform capacity across the country, and they could use some additional national and market-to-market share. They've done a nice job of upgrading. I say they deserve some people's money, but people are slow to adopt. Maybe we're starting to see some people getting a little bit savvy, but I mean, the market distribution in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, perfect example of just not aligning properly.
Well, now I'm going to come in with a little bit of spice. AT&T, without question in my mind, if you were to cut America in half and go east, is god tier. Without question in my mind, you will have a great experience at AT&T. However, based off of our fellow phone testers in the Midwest to the West and their results, I know AT&T isn't equally tremendous. Look at Carlos's experience in Vegas recently, right? T-Mobile is good, very good in certain cities like Longmont, Detroit, I believe Chicago, they're pretty good. New York,
Yeah,
obviously, stuff like that. But they suck in Pittsburgh. So you're saying like people should buy, you know, people should buy these networks. They did these great upgrade builds and stuff like that. And as much as these words hurt to say, but the only one that has the real reputation for being consistent, I'm not saying consistently exceptional. It's just that you know what you're getting. It's like buying an iPhone. You know what you're getting. Is Verizon, right? There's not anywhere in particular, for the most part, for most people, I would say, where Verizon's so bad the common Joe is going to notice it, so to speak. I'll notice it. Like, I'll notice when I'm getting less than like 5 meg, but the average Joe won't because the data is still working. It's still loading up their Best Buy app when they're in store trying to scan for their in-store pickup. T-Mobile, I can have 700 meg and not even be able to load up the Sheets rewards card when I'm at the gas station buying some Jewel Pods, AT&T, I love them to death, but like, even I have to say when I was out in Longmont, specifically at Stetson's place, AT&T was garbage there. Like, I don't know.
I mean, they have to be trusted.
Yeah.
They have to have some type of network excellence, like dependability, reliability. The network's got to be there. The capacity's got to be there, obviously, too. It's up to the carriers. Their quality of networking is non-negotiable. If a carrier is bad and unreliable, they don't deserve your money. I don't blame you for staying on Verizon if the AT&T network is less reliable. I don't blame on you for being on AT&T, even if the network is slightly congested at times, like in like situations where they have heavy market share in Texas. People tell me all the time there are places where the AT&T network is a little congested, and I'm just like, well, who else could you use? And they say I can't really use anyone else. The T-Mobile network is more spotty, and the Verizon network is full of Band 13 only sites.
Which are also, in my opinion, useless.
Yeah. So then, like, what's your options? None. Right? You're going to stick with what works 99% of the time, and then the occasional hiccup, you take it on the chin and you keep it pushing, and that's why the market share may be the case that it is,
But yeah, changing people's perception takes years.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you might do upgrades, but it'll take years for people to realize it.
It takes word of mouth, families, friends, telling you, hey, it's gotten better,
And the thing I really want to touch on is like, because there's some people that will argue like the reason why these people aren't investing money into these markets because the market share isn't there, and they'll say like until the market share is there, that's when they'll do the upgrades. But it's an issue of like the carriers have to upgrade. Like if they want to get people in Pittsburgh, like if T-Mobile wants to get people in Pittsburgh, right? If they want to get like 55% market share, which I think that they could considering all the spectrum they have, like if they want that to happen, T-Mobile needs to cut the BS and just put their nose to the grindstone and optimize their cell grid and layout so that there's some overlap, like a 4-leaf clover. So if one goes down, you still have coverage. And they need to fully get rid of any existing Sprint gear and modernize the crap out of those sites, get upgraded backhaul from whoever, and just get everything perfected, right? They do that, and it'll be like shooting fish in a barrel for them. Like they'll literally be stealing every single Verizon customer, period, because their pricing is way better. There'd be no reason not to pick them, and it's a highly capacitive network when you have properly deployed N41. They're not doing that all over Pittsburgh, though. And that's the problem.
Yeah, but they're like, T-Mobile's a cost-sensitive carrier. Like you look at their CapEx, it is directly correlated to their free cash flow and their margins. They're ultra competitive in terms of taking market share in SOGA, but they don't generate revenue like Verizon. They don't generate revenue like AT&T. And because they're not as profitable, they just can't sink those dollars the same way that the big two do. Like when it comes to being like the big two networks, right?
Yeah, but
They're
how do
always going
you
to be playing from a bit of a deficit too with coverage.
Yeah, but how do you take down a titan? How do you take down a titan in an industry? You got
Well,
to
I
be
mean, you kind of chip away, right? Like you put your head down and you kind of work at it, bro.
well, you start by chipping away, right? You start by chipping away so you can actually survive and breathe and exist. But at some point, you have to take some kind of risk. You can't just play it safe forever.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
the risk for T-Mobile here is they got to take debt. They got to place a bet on themselves, speak with their wallet. Do you believe you can actually be America's number one 5G network? Do you actually believe in that claim? If it's yes, you bet against yourself by taking out debt. It's the same principle with humans too, right? Like Sneed, you went to college and took out thousands of dollars in student loans to be a teacher, right?
Hmm.
Because you believed that it was an investment that would pay off in the future, that you would make more money, have a better quality of life. You knew it would give you opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have, right?
Hmm.
Well, in the company sense, T-Mobile needs to take out debt to invest in the network, because if they do that, it will give them more opportunities to do things that they otherwise couldn't, whether that be the focus on their fixed wireless product selling. Maybe they go in the traditional fiber selling like they were doing with like the partnerships in New York. Maybe they offer some type of partnership with Amazon to like become like America's number one entertainment network dedicated to offering all these different streaming services with their partnerships, or whatever they decide to do, right? It all goes back to having a quality network that can back that up, right? And to make that quality network, and if they can't get the cash flow by like organic growth, they have to eventually take debt out so they can expedite their build out while they have this opportunity. Otherwise, they'll forever be behind AT&T and Verizon and continue to make it more difficult and challenging in the future for them to catch up.
All right. So let me push back a little bit on this. A lot of what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I don't see any flaws in your thinking. The only thing that I would point back to is the fact that T-Mobile has a lot of really good positive momentum. Everything that they've done up to this point has pretty much worked out for them. Going back to the John Legere era, now through like post T-Mobile Sprint merger, pretty much every button that's been pushed at the T-Mobile side has worked. I mean, with the exception of T-Vision, right? Which they pulled the plug on very, very quickly. And I respected Mike Sievert for making that call. A lesser CEO would have dragged that thing through the mud for years, taking losses, operational opportunity, failure. And he pulled the plug and moved on from it. Sunk his teeth in, into the network, sunk his teeth into everything else. He probably literally took money that was going to be invested in carriage deals and probably put it towards marketing to push the fixed wireless access, the 5G home, all of that. Everything that they've done up to this point, Dennis, has worked out. I don't think they want to chance anything. I don't think they want to disrupt the flow. I don't think they want to mess up that momentum. Things have really worked in their favor. And I think it's kind of one of those situations where you just don't want to rock the boat, man. And, until something changes and the direction goes, haywire, I think they'll continue in this mode of incrementally improving coverage, continuing to add capacity at a scale that they can handle. Yeah, they're not going to win over Dennis's heart, right, for network excellence, and I think we kind of know that that's the case. But as there are a lot of people that Dennis will tell you it's good enough for me, man, and they're perfectly fine saying that internally. They won't say it publicly, but internally at T-Mobile, they're saying we're almost as good as they are, and that's fine because it's working, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to push back a little bit to what you're saying. Not that I find any flaws in your logic, but I am going to push back a little bit. Do you know what happens to companies when they just sit back on the laurels and everything is working? I'm going to use examples from history. Look at Intel in the CPU space. For years, incremental upgrades to IPC, 10% uplifts in performance for years. Quad core was fine. They were dominating the market, like 80% market share, right? 90% market share, remember? And then AMD took a risk. They did something that was unthinkable. They got rid of making their own fabs, partnered with TSMC, came up with this chiplet design that was just revolutionary, which brought down their cost margins, took out debt to fund the R&D. did all this stuff, comes out with Ryzen. Now Ryzen CPUs are kicking Intel's butt. They have a more efficient process so they can compete on pricing if they have to, and they don't even have to anymore because their processors are so good they actually get to charge a premium over Intel, have better supply because of the manufacturing process, and are kicking buck back in the enterprise space. Right? They are now being a real healthy competitor and really clawing away at like massive percentage points each quarter. It shows and reflects in the stock. Same can be said with Verizon. They've been taking it easy, right? We've been the market dominant leader. We're just going to keep focusing on doing what we've been doing this whole time. And look what's happened. People are questioning the value proposition. The network is not as good as it used to be because they've been resting on their laurels that low band was like good enough forever and this band 66 was great. We don't have to participate in these auctions, whatever, right? Now we're here today. Verizon was in a rough situation. They had to spend big on C-band to make up for those mistakes. Thankfully, they had those assets to do so, but a company that didn't have that kind of funding wouldn't be able to do it. And then lastly, look at AT&T. Resting on their laurels back when they had the DirecTV merger, right? They were like, yeah, we're an entertainment company. We're big cable.
FirstNet saved them, Dennis. FirstNet saved them.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. If AT&T didn't get the FirstNet contract, we could be talking about how AT&T was the next Sprint.
Yeah. Well, wireless wise, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's great that things have worked out for T-Mobile, and they've been very lucky. And I am not opposed to risk-adverse strategies necessarily. However, if T-Mobile wants to be a dominant, true major operator on the scale of a Verizon or AT&T, there has to be some level of educated risk. And to me, personally, asking T-Mobile to take out debt to invest in their network and asset that will appreciate, especially during times of high inflation, we're holding on to cash flow stupid anyway, is a low risk investment. It's like investing in the stock market, like an S&P 500 fund. Like, yeah, there's risk, but historically speaking, over the 22 years, we can predict what the average, interest will be over the long time, right?
Yeah, 10%. Yeah.
So to me, it's a low risk to be asking for out of T-Mobile, and I don't understand why they're being so hesitant, because we've also seen clearly that every time T-Mobile adds good cellular coverage in areas where they didn't have it before, they get customers, and they're getting fixed wireless customers up the wazoo in rural. Why? Why are they not taking out debt to expedite this process? Instead, they're selling this T-Mobile Home Internet Lite as some like home internet replacement, which is just hot garbage.
You know what, Dennis? I mean, those are great questions, man. Why not? Why aren't they doing these things? And I just think that's the DNA. I think that's the mentality of the company. Low risk. Don't go in, beyond what you can handle. If you like the water, you're comfortable with it being knee deep. You don't want to get it waist high. I don't. Hey, man, every CEO is in charge of a company and makes decisions. We've heard Mike Sievert say this. We spend money at the company like it's our personal dollars. We don't frivolously spend it. And it's their process, Dennis. And I think you can respect that part. If that's their DNA, if that's the mentality, if that's the process, and it's been working up to this point, then yeah, and maybe they never do overtake Verizon in whatever metric or evaluation piece. I don't know. But I mean, things seem to be working, and who knows, maybe the conversation we're having in 5 years is different.
Well, all talk aside.
Well, let me add this for Jared's comment. He said they frivolously spend money on nonsense marketing. They'd rather spend $500 million on marketing than $500 million on extra additional cell tower upgrades. They won't necessarily want to just dump extra dollars. When it comes to the network, they're very strict on the budget. And the same thing with marketing. But yes, they do dump a lot of money into marketing. But I would argue their marketing pays out for them. It's a winner. It's part of their secret sauce. That I don't know. Most people probably won't tell you T-Mobile's got a secret sauce for the network. But we can all agree they do have a secret sauce for the marketing. Pretty much everything works. Pretty much. And I'm not sure Dennis is muted. All right.
I texted you in the private chat. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Anyway, okay, I'm good now. I was gonna say, all jokes aside, we had a really good stream, but do you want to do a little bit of Q&A if you still have energy?
oh yeah, dude, I'm good for the go, man. Let's do it.
All right. So now it's time for Q&A. Feel free to ask any questions you want. This is a chill late night show. All questions are on the table.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody throws us some questions and stuff. Those are pretty good topics, Dennis. I'm glad we got to do them. I did the content for the channel. I uploaded videos.
Yeah.
But I kind of do like this format a little bit because we kind of get to throw things back and forth. Your perspective, someone else's perspective. It kind of allows you to see it in different ways. And, you can't think of every angle, so it's good to get the voice of others,
I got a good question coming in from David that you'll just absolutely love.
Let's do it.
When COX Mobile, Sneed, man. Basically, when are you going to get COX Mobile?
See, David, this is how you get banned from the community, dog.
Hey, you don't get banned from Best Phone Plans, but
Nah, David's an OG, bro. He's an OG SMT Nation supporter. He knows that day will never happen. He's going to be a friend of the channel forever. But, dog, that ain't happening, bro. Cox is garbage can residue, dog. I ain't trying to give him a dime. Nothing.
Honestly, though, you tested Xfinity Mobile, and I think that you should text COX Mobile, jokes aside. And since you actually live in an area that can get it, I think it'd be worthwhile to compare that access to Xfinity Mobile's access.
Yeah, that's interesting and intriguing. But, I mean, my experience with them was so bad. Dude, I want to give them $1, man. I don't want to give them nothing.
Sneed, you know what I need to do? There's a way to make a donation bar that keeps track across like streams and stuff. The next thing I'm going to do for Best Phone Plan specifically is I'm going to figure out how to do this. I'm going to make a donation bar, and we should set a target. If we get to an X amount, you have to get COX. Would you be down for something like that?
Oh, damn.
We'll use the money to pay for your COX.
God, man.
Would
Do I really have to interact with those people? Can I do an online order?
Sure. If they allow you to for mobile.
I'll do the prepaid plan, bro. It's Tony Stark.
Plus, honestly, something else I'd be curious about you revisiting is because it's been about a year now, right, since you've had Cox Internet.
3, maybe 2 years.
Then I would be sincerely interested 3 years later, down to AT&T's been in your neck of the woods, doing like a Cox versus AT&T fiber side by side to see if Cox was improved at all. Because if you remember earlier this year, we were talking about how on RootMetrics / Ookla's State of the Internet, Cox won the fastest ISP. If you remember,
man, that is crazy because they can't even do Zoom meetings, bro.
I know, but we covered it on your channel. Remember?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But Jason D asked a fantastic question. He said, within the next 5 years, who do you think will be the biggest cellular company? Just a guess.
Well, is Hans Vestberg still at Verizon?
It's just a guess.
I see cable continuing to grow, man. I see T-Mobile continuing to grow. That looks sustainable. AT&T looks to be sustainable. Verizon, it's flat or no growth. 5 years. That's like 20 quarters.
Oh, Omni
Sheesh,
El
man.
Nino. Thank you for subscribing to Best Phone Plans.
Yeah, nice. Welcome to the community. I guess, Mike Sievert's still at T-Mobile and Hans Vestberg still at Verizon. Yeah, I got T-Mobile being number one, dog.
So it
Biggest
can go,
cellular company means like most postpaid subs, right?
I assume so, yes.
Okay. All right.
I need to ask a question. How many customers does Verizon have currently, and what's their current rate of loss?
140 million postpaid subscribers. Their current rate of loss is like hard to gauge. Do you think should we do like they lose 500,000 a year?
Sure. And how many does T-Mobile have?
110
Oh,
million?
then Verizon 5 years from now. Verizon.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, dude, when you take away from one and you add to the other, that's a double whammy.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we're talking about 5 years here. Unless Verizon drops a nuke on themselves, they should still be in the number one position from a subscriber base
Yeah,
standpoint.
man. But like, I mean, are we counting home internet customers too?
I don't
Like,
think we are.
because
I'm not.
like T-Mobile's got like they're in 5 years, T-Mobile might have 7-8 million.
Well, if we're counting home internet customers, then AT&T, they got fiber. They're
Yeah,
gonna
but they're
have
not doing
fiber.
it
So
over fixed wireless, so it's not like a wireless customer, you know.
I'm just saying, internet. If we're counting internet customers, like
Yeah, I guess it's fair to just do postpaid subs. I don't know, man. I'd say it would be unlikely, but I still think that it's possible. I mean, they've got to make up what 30 million subs in 5 years.
and their
Yeah, that's
current
tough.
growth is like 2 a year, 2 mil.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it'd be too hard over. I don't know. I guess it depends how bad things. Like, what if 1 year Verizon loses like 10 million subs?
Like I said, they would have to drop a nuke on themselves.
Yeah.
But let's see. Oh, Scott Alvarado, thank you for subscribing to Best Phone Plans. I really love that new notification. But let's see. Ooh, here's a good question from O Torres or O Torres 258. Will T-Mobile become more reliable? Did I not highlight the right comment? Oh. Oh, will T-Mobile become more reliable in the next few years if the Tesla contract kicks in for 5G coverage? No.
Yeah, I agree. It's for emergency texting. It's not going to change their calling. Maybe down the line, several years from now. It's not going to really do much for an actual data experience. So I don't.
Data
I don't
might
know.
never come, to be honest,
It might
and
not. It might not. You're right.
texting is probable. Calling is, and data is very iffy. And we're talking like 5 years out anyway for just the texting, in my
I
opinion. So,
agree. I agree. It's the time frame is crazy. There's a lot of wild cards.
oh, we got like a stick or switch style question, coming in from Mo. He said, "Should I stay or switch? All networks work great in my market, but I currently have AT&T Premium for 33.75 per line per month with family plan, auto pay discount, and 25% off. I 100% think you should stick. AT&T Premium is still a fantastic plan, and I can't realistically see you getting a more affordable rate for a equally good plan like that." Sneed?
Yeah, I agree. I think you should keep it just based on price and value there. Your price is going to go up because that 25% discount's really nice, dude. Um, the Magenta Max is going to cost you more unless there's some reason like AT&T becomes unreliable, then maybe explore it. But if AT&T is solid, you're enjoying your network experience, it's probably plenty good, and the price can't be beat.
Cool. Um, oh, Troy Hicks asked a somewhat funny question, but it's honestly a pretty
Hey,
good one.
Troy.
He said, "Will T-Mobile ever get its own fiber?" Um, I think they have to. At some point, T-Mobile has to start building out their own fiber, at least minimum in at least their top 20 markets, I would say, where they have over 50% market share. They have to, because it's unsustainable to not do so as we start talking about getting into these spheres where you start needing like 10 and 20 and 40 gig worth of backhaul to support your millimeter wave and your 160 megahertz of midband and all this other stuff, right? Like at some point they absolutely have to. I'm not sure specifically what form that will take in. Maybe it's some type of like interesting partnership like they did with like the New York Public Fiber Company, but at some point they're going to have to get a little bit more creative than just leasing it from insert tier 1 ISP in the country.
Man, that would be some kind of day if they became a fiber owner, operator, partner of some sort. Every time they talk about it, they they pretty much dodge it and say, "Oh, it's still cost effective for us to just lease it." They don't feel compelled to do it. But
maybe monetarily speaking, it's cost effective, but there's also the opportunity cost that needs to be discussed. When you're relying on someone else's fiber, you're working on their time schedule, which means project delays. If they decide they don't want to deploy fiber where you need it in XYZ locations for your new build outs.
I mean, I love owners economics, man. If you use something often, it's worth it to own it, in the long term. So I totally agree. It definitely should be something for them to explore. I think the Lumen opportunity sounds tempting. They need to do more than just that pilot thing in Manhattan. That's for sure.
Here's a great question that came in from Trek from Trex earlier. He asks, what type of capex do you think T-Mobile would need to spend to catch up to Verizon and AT&T? Sneed, I'll let you go first on this because you got a better pulse on this.
Well, they have to dedicate capex to making the network larger. The issue right now for T-Mobile isn't necessarily capacity, it's network size, it's densification. So the capex must be very specific to adding small cells for coverage gaps and adding and densifying with additional macros. So it's, to me, yeah, I mean, you could argue it's just they need to spend more, but it's also they need to strategically dedicate capex to those two projects. Small cells to improve coverage, macro sites to densify. You know, I'm kind of annoyed by the number of tower site handoffs where I'm getting 1 megabit uplink. You're on N41, you're getting 400 down, and then you're getting 1 meg uplink. Unreal, right? That is a densification problem. It's not a spectrum problem. It's not a backhaul problem. That's a weak signal, and the uplink is paying the price. So then people start dropping their FaceTime video calls, their duos of the world, the WhatsApp calls, all those things. It becomes a struggle. So I'd like to see CapEx dedicated to those two purposes, right? Small cells for filling in coverage gaps, macros to densify.
Sneed, did you misspeak, by the way? Because you said macros to densify. You're saying macros to densify?
Yeah, you can't have a macro every 4 miles.
But isn't small cells for density, macros for coverage?
A small cell wouldn't be enough, if a site was 4 miles from the neighboring cell.
Fair enough. Okay.
I would argue, based on population, depending, right? If you got a cell site every 3 miles, I would argue you would probably want at least one more macro, and you could argue for a small cell too. Because I'm here in the CLE and I see Verizon with tower sites every mile and a half, and also supplementing with small cells.
Also, we got an incredible super chat, and well, let's finish this question real quick. As far as the CapEx question, I 100% agree with what Sneed was saying. It's not necessarily about more money equal better. It's about how it's being allocated. Like, T-Mobile spends a pretty good chunk of their cost to leasing stuff and marketing stuff, and if they started getting away from that, slowly but surely, not only would it reduce their operational costs, but it would mean that they could keep the same capex and make more efficient use of it. But hard to say. There's two really good questions, but first let me address this super chat, and then I'll go back to the other one that had caught my eye. Let's see here.
And Pete's right. If you're on N71, the video calls are perfect. That's crazy. On N41, they're a nightmare because of the uplink on edge cell. Mm-hmm. On N71, they're phenomenal.
I don't necessarily agree, but that's because Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. But okay. So Mark O'Brien coming in with the $10 super chat. He says, do you think Dish Mobile has any chance to make it a decent return on the money Charlie Ergen spent way back when on all that spectrum they own? 100%. 100% yes. They could literally just sell it tomorrow if the FCC allowed it and make a profit off of it if they really wanted to. Now, as far as building out a network and all that fun stuff, I think there's room for a fourth player in the U.S. I don't think they're ever going to be as big as the new T-Mobile or like AT&T and Verizon, but I think there's room for them if they play it strategically smart and like an urban setting, kind of like how Sprint did. Well, as long as they don't make the Sprint level mistakes, I think they can do okay. Sneed, your thoughts?
Well, the spectrum assets always hold value. You'll never lose. Like that's it's like gold, right? It's literally airwaves that are made of gold. The the value in like the 600 megahertz, the value in the AWS, they got some DoD. I think they have some CBRS as well as some millimeter wave in some random places. That stuff they're appreciating assets. So the company's always going to be worth something. It's just never going to be worth, the scale of a large mobile network operator, for example, right? Uh, they're a holdings company. In case people didn't realize that, Dish is a holdings company, and building out a network is difficult, challenging, and with lots of obstacles. They may bail out at some point, and in that instance, their company has value because they have assets.
100% agree. 100% agree. Now, this is, and thank you again, Mark O'Brien, and everybody that's been super chatting tonight. I really do appreciate your
Thanks, Mark.
generosity. But we had an earlier question that came in from Drumil Shah. He asked earlier, why take on debt if Verizon can slice prices to screw them? Sneed?
Yeah, and in what world is Verizon going to be slicing prices? I mean, Hans Vestberg would rather serve coffee to strangers than to give people discounts on cell service or to reduce pricing. Big shout out to Steven. Thanks for the super chat, sir. Is AT&T the new coverage leader compared to Verizon? I don't know. I don't know if maybe you're referencing total square miles covered, possibly. Maybe I don't know. If that's the instance, I'm sure that FirstNet has really closed that gap considerably. The one thing that we've noticed is state to state it can vary. So, like for example, we've seen trouble with Nevada. We've seen trouble with Colorado for AT&T. They are definitely not the coverage kings there, but they do well on the Atlantic coast. They do well in the Midwest. And they if they're not the same as Verizon, they may have possibly surpassed them. Who knows? So thanks, Steven. Appreciate the super chat, and thanks for the comment and the question.
Yeah, thank you. While I look for the other comments, and guys, you guys are doing great with them. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this other follow-up question that came from Drew Mill. He asked the simple question of how many subs does Fios have?
Fios, I think the last earnings report, if you go to the slide presentation that Verizon provided, it indicates how many they added for the quarter and then how many that they had total. Their footprint for Fios is not very big. They sold a lot of their territory to Frontier, so like that changes a lot of their business dynamic, and they don't increase their footprint very often. It's like one new neighborhood here and there, right, in their existing kind of like area codes and zip codes. It's just not a grower for them.
Yeah. I honestly can't realistically see Verizon investing in their Fios, to be honest, anymore, with the big emphasis on fixed wireless. I think that wherever they have it, they're just going to let it be. And I'm not even optimistic that they'll even upgrade it to the point where I'll get to see the higher speeds or the XG PON 2 or anything like that. I'm very, very low expectations when it comes to Verizon.
Kevin had a comment on my side. He said, the AT&T tower I connect to is 2 miles away. I guess at that distance, I'll never see band 77. Au contraire, mon frere. Depending on how your tower layout is, it could very much end up reaching your house. It depends if the neighboring cells also have N77, and it depends how far they are spaced apart, because N77 can reach for several miles, like 8 or 9 miles if it's powered high enough in ideal conditions, line of sight and no obstacles. So I don't see how 2 miles would be an issue. If it needed to go 2 miles, it could. I don't know about you guys in your markets, but C-band at my house has almost the same signal strength as AWS. So like band 66 at my house, I'll get like minus 92 RSRP. C-band is like minus 94. That's pretty daggone close. And I've seen AWS reach 4 miles. And I have personally tested Verizon C-band in Medina County, right? Moving towards like central-ish Ohio. I've seen it reach 3 miles. And that was when they first turned it on with no densification. It was one cell, like right in the middle of the city, right? No other neighboring cells. So don't be shocked if some of these sites do go and get you the 2, 3, 4, 5 mile range potentially in rural America.
I think we have a mythical beast sighting, Sneed. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it is the bearded dragon. Welcome,
Oh,
Pete.
snap. The bearded one.
Good
Also,
morning.
Pete, if you could do me a favor, I need to favorite your email to the Gmail that I sent you to, because every time I try to look you up, it comes up with other people. So if you can send me an email as a response or something so I can try to favorite you as a contact, that'd be awesome. Also, I also just want to say to all the beautiful people that have been watching, thank you. Make sure you're smashing the like button on both the SMT channel and mine. We got 174 people, beautiful eyeballs watching, so smash that like button and show it some love. I also want to say thank you for your patience as I try to get to your comments. It's actually a little bit harder than you think with 2 different comment streams coming in to organize it. So I'm doing my bestiest. Here's a good question from Derek. He asks the panel, are any of us interested in working in telecom and shutting down the YouTube?
Those are not mutually exclusive.
I was going to say, for me personally, I really like doing the YouTube. I've made some incredible friends online. In fact, I would say in my personal life, my closest friends, with the exception of like one that I made in college, which honestly ended up following up because of online. Yeah, but most of my best friends in life I met online. YouTube has been a great way for me to meet people that I wouldn't have otherwise done. So many awesome people in the community. It's just too much fun to interact. I wouldn't want to give this up. Like it's something that gets me out of my comfort zone. Otherwise, I would truly be a hermit that just sits in front of a computer monitor all day playing video games. So for me, it'd be a deal breaker if a company of any kind in any industry made me give up doing the YouTube for fun. I find passion in it right now. It's enjoyable. I think Sneed probably feels the same. Sneed, you?
Depends how busy I got, actually. You know, if I was worn out and I had to give up one, I guess whichever one paid the bills better and was more, valuable for the time, I guess I would go that way. I would really hate to give this up, though, Dennis, for sure.
One other thing that's worth mentioning, I guess, would also depend on the benefits. Like, if a company came at me and was like, yeah, you'll get a 10% match on your 401k investments and health insurance that makes the state want to cry, I'd be hard pressed, because health benefits are, well, for anyone that's an international, you probably won't understand how deep of the meaning this is, but health benefits in the U.S. really do matter.
Crucial. Yeah.
But great question, Derek. Great question. MS asked a question. He said, do we have an email where we can send newly released info, like docs, like STA orders from the FCC before they get reported everywhere else, and pre-alpha info for those who want to alpha test? Sneed, do you have something like that? I think you do.
I know I do.
Pete, do you want to type it in the comments? I can highlight it or something.
Yeah, there's an email. You can send it to me. Name some people you want to forward it to, and or if you just want it on a Discord, like Carlos's or Sneed's. It's info@techcrewhelpdesk.com.
Here's another question. We got this one's from Josh. He said, how's AT&T 5G Plus at the SMT headquarters speed-wise? I think they're having a radio issue, dude. I can't connect to it. So I don't know if it's off. I don't know if there's trouble with the radio. But that's on hold right now, man. I got no I got no feedback for you, no data. No One Man asked also about some N77. He said, what percentage of the time are you connected to 5G UW since you're in a densely upgraded C-band area? Probably 35% of the time. It's pretty good. It's I mean, for just this calendar year, I think they've done a really nice job of that. T-Mobile still has more 5G UC on my typical commute to work. So in that respect, they're still a little bit behind AT&T, behind Verizon, but it's good to see them competing. So I'll take it, man.
Also, real quick before I highlight this next comment from Leftzilla, for messaging as well, I'll just say personally, at Dennis BP3 is my Twitter handle. Feel free to DM me on there if you want to share. And also, I can't put my finger down that far, but if you become a member of the Patreon through Stetson Doggett for Best Phone Plans, we do have a Discord for Patreon members, and we do actually have you can just message us on the Discord as well. But this is a question from Leftzilla. I think this is a pretty solid one. He says, I'm starting a new job where I have to remotely support some naval hospitals in Europe. I need a good international calling plan. No roaming, just calling from the USA to Europe. First, Leftzilla. First, I want to congratulate you on the new job. Hopefully everything goes well.
Yeah. I like Vonage for that.
I was actually going to say, and the second thing I was going to say is my personal recommendation to you is WhatsApp. That's really common in Europe. I feel like more people probably use WhatsApp in Europe than traditional phones.
It's huge. Asia, Europe, yeah, man. International, it's huge.
But if you absolutely must have a phone to do this with, Google Voice. Just get Google Voice.
Yeah, you got to sign the number and use it like a regular line.
Yeah. I can't think of any plans or any carrier plans, though, off the top of my head. Can you?
For calling from the U.S. to Europe?
Yeah.
T-Mobile.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go T-Mobile. I think T-Mobile covers that pretty well.
Calling from U.S. to Europe on T-Mobile, if I felt like paying $15 a month, I could get it on all my lines.
Yeah, see, I was thinking about something like that. So Verizon can't give you that. I guess you'd have to check out the paid offers. That
I'm capped at 500 minutes at that price point, though. So
we got another good question, by the way, since we mentioned the T-Mobile name. Coming in from Trex again, could you see T-Mobile start taking away free lines and discounts to increase revenue in the future?
Nah.
I could. Why not, Sneed?
Making someone pay for a free line they've had for free for 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Pete, what would happen to those accounts?
Which channel would I be demonetizing?
I could see the storm of brewing.
let me clean it up. They'll call up customer care and say, hey, man, you're pulling my chain. I don't like what's happening. I'll see you on Highway 61.
That was the edited version, folks.
All right, here's a good one.
Hold up. That's also a Bob Dylan lyric.
Absolutely.
Here's a good one, just because I can roll with the punches. It came in earlier from Dave Pleiadian Angel. Does anyone think that Dennis has unrealistic expectations because he is always hating on T-Mobile and other companies that he says the network is bad?
100%.
Sneed and Pete, I'm going to let you guys answer that. Go ahead.
So Dennis is very hard on carrier networks. If they let him down, he makes it known. I'd say that I think he's a little harder on T-Mobile because he knows they have a lot of bandwidth. They have a lot of resources. He sees a lot of potential, and he likes to uphold some accountability on that. And I can respect it. I mean, network excellence, there is no such thing as a perfect network, but he wants to see them doing well, and they're not going to do better by being easy on them. They will only get better if you're hard on them. So I respect and I applaud the fact that Dennis holds them to these high standards. and he dogs Verizon pretty hard too. And when AT&T was just messing up about 30 minutes ago, when Dennis was explaining how they let him down, he kept the same energy. So, I mean, just because your favorite carrier is being criticized by Dennis doesn't mean there's something wrong with Dennis. I think maybe you should probably look in the mirror and say, why do I feel compelled to protect a corporation that doesn't care if I live or die?
Pete, go ahead, man.
Yeah, you're hard on everyone. I just wish you lived my AT&T life where you're like, well, man, might as well be on T-Mobile. I'm saving money and I have better coverage.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk, man.
I appreciate you guys so much. And look, I know I can be hard, but if you watch me long enough, you'll know that I treat all companies with a fair amount of skepticism and criticism, maybe to a too heavy-handed degree. But the reason for that is because I personally don't trust companies. That it's just my bias for how it is. And on the same token as well, and I treat this to myself on a personal level, I'm the kind of person who likes to have a really big stretch goal that makes me work really hard for it, so that even if I miss that perfection goal, I still got higher than if I set the bar too low. Like, it would be really easy for me to be like, yeah, T-Mobile's getting 50 meg on N41 and it's usable, sure. But when you got 140 megahertz of spectrum, and I mean, for anyone that doesn't know this, like let's make this perfectly clear. T-Mobile is where my primary line that I communicate with most people on resides. So I'm gonna be very in tune with T-Mobile because they use them honestly the most.
And it
And
disconnects less than when I call your AT&T line.
you've never called my AT&T line, not once. No one has that number, and you know that, Pete.
Do I have it, Dennis?
Nope.
Oh, sheesh.
That's the one that has the 2FA for the most crucial of stuff that I don't give out to anyone. It's just strictly a data line.
Give me a week and I'll be calling it.
I'll be blocking that call. But what was I gonna say? Oh, but look, another reason why I'm hard on T-Mobile is because a younger version of me that actually drank the Kool-Aid back in the John Ledger era used to be very much a big T-Mobile supporter. But like I said, came in 2013. I've been with them forever.
Yeah, but Dennis, you can evaluate and criticize and all that and still be a supporter, which I think you are. I still think that deep down inside, you just want to see them as the best version of themselves.
Yeah, honestly, if I had to pick which network was the best in the US, I'd want T-Mobile to be the best in the US. And the reason I'd want them to be the best in the US is because they have the best plan. It'd be a
Yeah.
match made in made in heaven. Most premium plan on the most premium network. That's what we'd all want. And it's
Yeah,
the cheapest
facts.
price.
Facts, bro.
I'm waiting for the ability to go out in the middle of the Mojave
Oh, damn.
and give Sneed a call saying, can you hear me?
Hell yeah.
Let's see. There's so many good comments. Back
Although, while you're looking for a good comment, we did have a community member that said it would be kind of cool if we could look around the Yucatan and see if Starlink connects, or even was it Sierra Nevada National Park.
Hey, Dennis, Zero Cool says, appreciate you rocking the beanie tonight. Good looking out.
Thank you. I just wanted to say really quickly, by the way, just because I thought of something cool, by the way, when you were mentioning the community chat, Sneed. Fun fact, at some point, if I ever figure it out, there's a way to pull in Discord chat on this as well.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. It's something that I've been working on.
Bro, you do know that the SMT Discord is lit, right?
I'm aware. I want to listen. In my ideal world, you know how I was able to merge both the YouTube channel chats? In my ideal world, bro, this is just a fun thought, and honestly, you guys should like comment this later in the video if you'd ever want to see this. But in my ideal world, I think it would be so epic if, like, at the end of the year, like an end of the year celebration, we somehow manage to get away where it's like a 7-man simulcast with like a huge like of your favorite like YouTubers, like it's like me, you, Carlos, Pete, uh,
By
tech.
the way, Dennis,
Yeah, go ahead.
I keep the SMT Discord on lock.
Yep, Pete's my main admin, bro. He holds it down.
Yeah, I'm a bad Discorder. Oh, by the way, I finally saw your comment about your email.
You're an absentee Patreon member.
Hey, I'm Sneed's favorite kind.
Yeah. Hey, he's basically runs the panel on the live show, man.
Yeah, I've honestly seen. I think I was one of your earlier Patreon supporters.
Yeah,
It's
you
been a
were.
minute,
Yeah. You're one of
and I
those OGs,
still
bro.
am. Still am.
Yeah.
Dave, I can't believe he beat me to 1.
Ooh, Jaime, or maybe it's Jamie. I like Jaime. Yeah,
Go
Jaime
with
and
Jaime.
Rico. If there was a company that you would like to bring back to life, example Sprint or any brand, how would you make that company better in general? That's a great question. Sneed, you go first.
I would go back in time, eliminate Gary Forsey so he wouldn't destroy Sprint, and then I think things would have played out a little bit better. You know, I think things would have been more competitive. I think maybe getting rid of Randall Stevenson, that way AT&T wouldn't have crippled itself for nearly a decade of LTE. Leave T-Mobile as is, the John Legere era, the Mike Sievert era. Things have been good for them, so leave that the way it is. I don't know, man. That's what I would do. I would go back and just eliminate the awful CEOs.
Well, it doesn't have to be Sprint. You could bring back any company, Sneed. I don't even think it has to be mobile related.
Well, that's the thing, man. The Sprint downfall was absurd. Do you know how big Sprint was as a wireless company? For them to fall the way they did took like an effort, a concerted effort in failure. You had to try to be bad to do what Sprint did over the course of the last 15 years. Like, and then, you know, the sale to SoftBank and Masayoshi-san, like it was the perfect alignment of failure. You know, same thing with AT&T. Not only did they make one bad purchase, they made 2 bad purchases. And that's not even the worst. They also tried to buy T-Mobile and eliminate a competitor, and they failed at that too. Dude, Randall Stevenson, Gary Forsey, the 2 worst CEOs ever at anything. I'm not even just talking telco. Ever at anything. The worst. Be handed billions of dollars in assets and fail? Are you crazy? I've seen people do 100 times more with 1 billion times less. Seriously.
All right. Pete, you next.
See, there were a company you'd like to bring back something like any brand. How would
He would bring
back
OmniPoint.
No. I've been pondering on this one since it was asked. What was that Tesla, Nikola Tesla consulting firm? Wycliffe Industries. Let's give everybody
by the way,
wireless electricity.
Dennis, Zero Cool offered you the eggplant emoji in case, you know, you didn't see it.
I did not see it yet. I've been currently freezed at this current section.
Let's go with alternative reality. Let's bring back Commodore computers.
Could bring back Commodore. Oh. Voice Stream? I don't know. Does Voice Stream still exist at some capacity?
No, isn't that now T-Mobile US?
Right.
I remember like going, what the heck is Voice Stream, when I read that this German company bought it.
Everstream?
So mine is not telco related at all. Mine's a restaurant. There was this restaurant called Holy Hot Dog out in like Weirton, Ohio, I think. And they had some bomb hot dogs, like some crazy stuff. Like they had like the classics, right? And they had like their version of like a Chicago dog called like the Mobster. But then they had some like crazy stuff, like a peanut, like a PB&J dog with like powdered sugar and like some oddities, but they somehow worked. And they would let you buy like a basket of fries, and it was like unlimited fries, and they had awesome sodas, like some really cool local root beers. It closed. I would love to have that back. It was pretty on point. That's my pick for a company. And then as far as making it better, um, I guess making it come here to Pittsburgh so it's not so far away, and probably probably incorporate maybe some Grubhub integrations and stuff like that from a tech standpoint. I don't know. I can't really think of any tech companies, to be honest. Oh no, I did think of something. I thought of something better. You know what would be great to have back, Sneed? HTC phones. That would be
Before
great.
Google sold them to China after stripping their patents.
Yes, HTC phones, man. I never owned one personally, but I was a big fan of like the Beats integration with like the dual front firing speakers. They were great phones. Either HTC or Nokia proper with
Hey,
phones.
I have an idea.
What's
Let's
up?
bring back Apple computers. That
And-
hey, that G5 was hot in two ways.
Anyway, hi man. I'm sorry if I didn't answer to the best of my ability, but I feel like we got some pretty good answers. I have a question of my own for the panel. Sneed, Pete, do you think carriers should just ditch voice calling as it is today and just essentially just use like proper VoIP-based calling, like a WhatsApp, like just make WhatsApp the de facto like messaging and calling thing and just sell data, like just sell internet essentially, get rid of just traditional calling?
I don't want Facebook having my calling data. What the hell, man? Said WhatsApp.
Well, it doesn't have to be WhatsApp, but you get the gist, right? Like, Sneed, you there, bud? Okay.
All right, Dennis. So you want to get rid of like regular calling, like the calling app, the calls over like the network. Yeah.
Let's short circuit Dennis's idea. Dennis, pull up Jared Weaver's on SMT most recent comment saying, "Wait, isn't voice over LTE already VoIP?"
Yes, it is, but the carriers implement different codecs for their audio, and there's all kinds of issues when it comes to like the cross carrier calling, and especially when you start talking about calling international and stuff, where like the audio just sounds like real bad, like if you call someone like in Canada or something. And I'm saying to eliminate that and provide consistency across the board, especially since we've seen how poorly like RCS implementation's been going, ditch like SMS based messaging, ditch this like not even proprietary, but like this version of calling, and just everyone
Dennis,
yeah,
we can ditch SMS. Apple just has to allow RCS on their platform.
Simple as that, dog.
Anyway,
I don't care that you hate me for being a green bubble. Let me RCS you.
Yeah. Forget that iMessage. We want to RCS you.
But yeah, man. This stream has been going on mighty long. Sneed, are you feeling it? Are you you think it's about time?
Yeah, man. We covered over an hour and a half. We did pretty good tonight, man.
All right, folks. I want to give an extra special thanks again for everyone that was able to make it to the live. I'm gonna take a little bit of inspiration from Sneed here, since this is like an amalgamation of our channel's themes. Do your famous hashtags. Let's make them, Sneed. What's one for the night? One hashtag, go.
We're gonna do hashtag collab. Let's hashtag that because of the two channels kind of fusing together here. Hashtag collab. We'll do
Oh, sorry.
Pete, the bearded dragon, do his.
See, hashtag feed the bear. Boo boo. Let's get some picnic baskets.
Okay, and Steve, it sounded like you had a secondary one. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, we do hashtag ravioli gang. You know, there's a lot of people out there on the West Coast time right now that are eating dinner. So hashtag ravioli gang,
Hey,
hashtag
Sneed.
2 live crew, and hashtag replay crew.
Mod squad.
Hashtag mod squad for the
What's
homies with the
Sneed?
wrenches. Yeah.
I would have been on earlier, but I made some eggplant parmesan. I'm sorry, but eating with the wife takes priority.
I hear you, bro. Hashtag telco poppy definitely doesn't qualify above hashtag telco wifey, you know?
Hashtag Tech Jesus. Hashtag COX Mobile. Hashtag ravioli.
Tech Buddha.
Yep,
Tech
Tech
Buddha.
Buddha. Yeah.
Got Tech Jesus, Tech Buddha, and Tech Poppy. All right. Well, guys, thank you again for coming out to live. Like I said, hope to see you guys in the comments below when you go through and rewatch. Also, if someone's feeling extra generous or an extra bored and wants to make some timestamps, I'd be glad to snag those from the comments and add them to the description for easier viewability. But with that being said, we out this piece.
Peace.